Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next. And I'm feeling real cute today. I don't know why. This is a new, corduroy thing my grandma got me, and my hair just looks nice today. I'm feeling it today. Things feel nice. And I do like when I get to film at this hour. I don't know why, but, I just like the ambiance in the background, brought to you by Mother Nature. There is someone who commented recently, that is a window. That's why that's there, and there's that's like a blackout curtain, but it's white, so you can still see the sun, but it doesn't glare. And yeah, let's talk about, I finished a book. I am in the middle of a couple things. I think I only finished one book since last time we chatted. Mainly because we'll talk about what I've been watching. I thought I'd read more while Ryan's out of town, and then my brain had other plans. So let's get into it, starting with what I finished, which was To Ride a Rising Storm. So this is the sequel to To Shape a Dragon's Breath, and I liked it. I think the first book is a tad stronger, but that makes sense for a magic school setting book. There's just so many new things. I do really like what this is set up, and I do really like just the angles it's been taking. Anacus is spending summer at home, goes back to another year of school, and there's a tumultuous moment in this country. Right now we have a leader who wants more equal rights, equal representation, and then we have those who are in power, the equivalent of our white supremacists that we have in our country here, or my country, the United States, don't like that. They don't like democracy and what they're choosing to do. Now, obviously, it's not a one-to-one. This is inspired by, what if Icelandic culture had more of a foothold, so we have jarls and things like that. I think it's Icelandic, or Nordic, a different part of Europe had more conquering supremacy, and so we had a different government system, but still the idea of representation of the common man. And also, at the same time, we have occupied land, the indigenous people, and Anacus is learning about the differences between her dragon and other dragons. There's a character that's introduced at the end of this book that I'm curious about what that means for the next book. I like how we explored the relationship. But if you're someone who doesn't like a lot of conversations, I don't know if you'd love this book. There's a lot of conversations. I like a conversation. And honestly, if you're going to have a school setting book and you have students talking about that's normal. Most of college is a bunch of students just yammering on about their ideas and their opinions and things like that. So that all made sense. And I like that there was more in this book of not necessarily putting Anacus in her place, but also showing her how, the way you handled this, although we agree with why you did what you did, how you did, left something to be desired. And I think that was good. Because I think that is, the interesting thing about her character is, you agree with her, but also some of the things that she does, you both want to be yeah, you go. And also you're okay, that nuance exists. I think, and I appreciate how we're exploring that with her character. The dragon bond is very nice, although I kind of wish we had more of that this book, but for reasons because Kasakwa is getting bigger, not as helpful, in its school and stuff like that. Chemistry magic is still chemistry magicking. If you have fond flashbacks to Valence bonds, which I teach every semester, so it's always on my mind, it's a good time. So yeah, it was pleasant. Maybe a little long for how much that has happened in it, but I do think it sets up a third book quite nicely. It's kind of a cliffhanger. Not really, but it's kind of a big deal what happens at the end of this book. So, yeah. Things that I'm in the middle of. I've decided to get back and finish Memories of Ice. So I've been working on that. I don't have thoughts to share. I'm working on it. I'm in the last part. It says I have 5 hours left. So I'm doing that. I am also working on Jawbone as my primary physical read. And last week I had read 20 pages, and now I'm on page 169. And this is partially because I have been bad about reading books physically. That's just a part of it. Another part of it is I read 10 or 20 pages of this, and I really enjoy my time reading 10 or 20 pages of this, and then I'm okay, that was a lot. Let's go do something else. So what to talk about with this? I think last week I mentioned Pretty Little Liars, and I still feel that here. It's horror, Pretty Little Liars, weird girl, lit fic. It's definitely weird girl lit fic. And it's just, these girls are not okay. and this teacher is not okay. And it's just, there was a section here that I actually really liked. It might have been one of the last things I read. And it does this a lot where, like, I have to read this with my eyeballs because within a scene, things are very fragmented and non-linear. So there was one chapter where we had a horror story being told in this, like, broken down house that's like this liminal space where these girls hang out. And in the middle of that, the narrator's talking about this online, what they call creepypastas, which I think is a real thing, but I'm just not on the internet in that way. And then also we're getting reactions from many of the girls in the room, some of them who are not normally main characters for us, and it's all intertwined together, and it had this very unsettling quality. Like, that was actually kind of one of the creepier things that I had read. And, like, it's still, like, a very non-linear story. We have not answered the question as to why we're in the situation we're in, but we're slowly filling in the blanks, which is my main motivator. I have no idea where this is going or how this will end. But this cover, I can tell you, represents this weird white god crocodile thing that they worship. And these are the two girls who are, like, so close. They're, like, the same person. And maybe it's sexual. Maybe it's not. It's hard to say. So if you like weird girl lit fic, I think this could be right up your alley. What I'm enjoying about this, besides the just, like, unsettling qualities, the atmosphere, the different chapters have different form to it, like there's a slight mixed media to it at times, is that the prose is just interesting to me. I don't think I love it, but its voice is captivating to me, and I'm glad that I only have it for, like, a book that's this length. But it's captivating enough that even if, like, maybe I don't love the ending of this book, I have no idea where I'll land because I haven't gotten there, there is another translated work by this author at my bookstore that I would consider purchasing. Because, like, the voice is, it just leaves an impression. Like, it's a very loud voice that I am enjoying consuming. And it even pivots a little bit. Like, when you're with the teenager, the voice is different than when you're with the, like, anxiety-ridden teacher and how she copes with her very unique ways of coping with her anxieties. Yeah, it's very interesting. I wish that I had more reading time, but I have chosen to do other things because I am who I am. And then on my commute, I have started Somebody is Walking on Your Grave, which is a nonfiction. It's a combination of things. It's part memoir, part travel vlog, part history lesson, because we go to different places. So I've been to a few thus far in this book, a handful. And I always have to, like, bring the book with me so I can look at the pictures, because there are pretty pictures in the book of these different cemeteries. But also, she's going to places that are not, like, your standard popular destinations. So for me, someone who is, like, generally well-traveled, I'm not, like, super well-traveled, though, so, like, I will miss the name of the country, and I'll be like, where am I in this world? So, like, we've been to Italy, Argentina, Basque Country, and Australia so far. Those are the 4 I've been to. The first one is definitely more like a prologue, where it's like a place that she went to in 1997 as, like, a young individual, like a young adult, like not maybe a teenager, but, like, maybe early 20s. I don't know. She was young. And it's more, that one's more memoir than anything else, because that's, like, setting the scene of, like, why she loves cemeteries. And this is also, I should say, the author of Our Share of Night. And so she's a horror author that I've been reading for a while. So, like, liking gothic things like cemeteries, it really does track with everything I've read from her. But it is really interesting reading her, essentially, like, blogs. Like, you know, like, they're interconnected tales of things she's done and what she chooses to focus on and what still has her authorial voice, even though it's not fiction. Argentina, and this is where, like, the history part is the part that I find probably the most interesting, and I wish we had a little more of it. It's probably, like, a third history or something like that. Where I learned that there's a Welsh colony in Argentina. And it's, like, the only part of Argentina in the Patagonias. So that was interesting. In Basque Country, this is, like, first of all, I learned where that is, because I had to be like, where is that? And it's, like, I think between Spain and France. And this primarily had English people who were buried because of a civil war in Spain. And, like, it was just, like, it brought me back to, like, my AP Euro history days of, like, remembering the different types of monarchs and who was on whose side. It was that sort of thing. And then we have Australia. And Australia, it was because of the band member from AC/DC and like other things. But that one I did enjoy, like the descriptions of the cemetery and also just the descriptions of Australia, because it's not a place I've been to. So just learning about the impression she had of the part of Australia she was in was very interesting. And the next up is going to be Chile. But so this is interesting, but I take it in chunks. I try not to start a story when I don't have time to finish it, because I find it actually kind of hard to latch onto things because we are traveling to places I don't know very well. So sometimes the proper noun game just messes with my head because I have issues with proper nouns sometimes. It's just, especially because I spend most of my time with proper nouns remembering the names of my students, which I do, but that's just where most of my energy goes. But this is pretty interesting, and I'm enjoying reading that. And both of these will help me with my challenge for Hercule, because we've got Ecuador and we've got Argentina. So, in terms of where the authors are from and having Spanish translated books. Another thing, speaking of a Spanish translated book, I got a copy for free of Violeta, which was the Isabel Allende I read last month. She's a Chilean author. It was a funny story. I'm pretty sure that the bookstore owner got this for my friend, but I think he thought more of me and just gave it to us for free, which was really nice. And my friend actually doesn't like Isabel Allende. And I'm like, well, I just read that and I wouldn't mind, I think it's a really pretty cover and I wouldn't mind having it on my shelf. It's not like my favorite, but like, I won't mind having this spine on my shelf. And then I wanted to briefly talk about, like, I did read the first chapter of 2 of my arcs, and I'm really excited to get to them once I'm done with my other obsessions. But I have read the first bit, and I actually got this arc of Sublimation. I guess I probably haven't shown you guys, but this just came. And this is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. I read the short story that this is based off of, and the first part, kind of sort of feels like a reimagining of that short story. So, setting the scene, because other people will not have read that short story. And what's cool about this is, in the short story, we only get the instance that's from the Americas. We don't get the person still left in Korea. And so here we get the Korean perspective as well. And what I mean by instances is that, see, we have 2 people here. When one leaves a country, passes through a border with intent of not returning, it leaves a copy behind and an instance goes forward. And this is a lot like computer code conversation, because they can merge again later on if they both choose to. And the grandfather of these instances has passed away, and so now they are reunited in Korea, probably temporarily, and I don't really know what the plot's going to be doing. And I think so far we have just had their 2 perspectives, So Young and Rose, who, like I said, are instances of each other. It's very, I don't know if it's very Severance, but I'm glad that they have been talking about somewhere in this that it's Sublimation is a thrilling and provocative debut for fans of Severance that asks what you'd sacrifice for a different life. So, it says doppelgangers, corporate intrigue, heartbreak, betrayal, and the harsh permanence of the border. So I'm just very excited about this book. So if you haven't had this on your radar, it comes out in June, and I am really liking this author. I think she has a short work actually for the Hugos that I haven't read yet, and I'm pumped. I have also read the first bit of Eye of the Leviathan with my arc, because I had no idea what this was about, guys. I had no idea. I simply saw M.A. Carrick, and I was like, yeah, sign me up. What are we talking about? Especially because I've read 6 Marie Brennan works. I haven't read any Alice Helms solo. I don't even know if they have too many solo works. And I did not know that this would be more based in our world, which has me excited. So Eye of the Leviathan, and I'm just going to put a pretty cover, because you guys don't need to see this, but just know. This is my arc. It takes place in historical Spain. And I love Spain, and it's in southern Spain, which is my favorite part of Spain. I love Andalusia. I love it so much. So the fact that we're in areas near Sevilla and Granada, I just love it. So already pumped for that. I am curious who my characters are going to be, because we're doing a little bit of time hopping as we're setting things up, and I haven't read the synopsis of the book. But there are fae in Spain, and it's historical fantasy, and that's what I know. That's it. That's all I know. I'm excited. So yeah, and I know we have this woman, Teresa, who had to make a deal to save her daughter, and that's how we have a Fae character in our story. There's already been some natural gender fluidity going on. I'm pumped. I'm absolutely ecstatic. But you see, here's the issue. Is Ryan's out of town, and I chose to start the Pitt because Ryan has zero interest in the Pitt, and I keep telling myself, next time Ryan's out of town, you should watch the Pitt. I mean, I could do it while he's in town, but I just it's just on my list of shows that I'm interested in that he's not, so I won't feel bad just marathoning it on my own. And oh boy, am I marathoning it on my own. I'm only in season 1, but I'm at the end of season 1. For those who don't know, it takes place over the course of a day in an ER. So I'm at 7 p.m. in this day. And for those who have watched the show, they know what's happening around 7 p.m. in this show. And things that I am fascinated by is how much I care about these characters who I have only known a day of their life. Not even a day. A shift at a workplace. And I honestly, that just shows such impeccable character work and pacing. This is definitely a setting that lends itself to this because every hour in an ER is going to be different and have different challenges, and you're still going to be calling back to things earlier in the day. It is the longest workday I have ever seen. Even before things happened near the 6 to 7 o'clock mark, that maybe you would say is not a traditional workday. The traditional workday was bananas, which I knew, and it's really validating what I teach my nursing students because they'll always be like, we don't need to know this. I'm like, ha, 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 ha. Knowing things is useful. I know so many things in this show because of the medical terms I'm teaching you guys and the basic chemistry. So, validation. It's a very, very good show. I'm enjoying it immensely. I am also playing Hades 2 because Ryan was a sweetheart, and it's on the PlayStation now, and he bought it for me before he went out of town because he loves me. And that's been very fun. So I'm still reading, but in what free time I have, which I'm still working full-time this week, I am reading, gardening, playing video games, and watching TV. So none of them are being done to completion except the Pitt because, yeah. So that's what I've been doing this week. Those are my thoughts. Those are my updates. I'm tentatively maybe going to see some movies this weekend. There's a rom-com I'd like to see. Tuscany and Me. I might see that if I get the spoons together or get any interest with friends to come with. And then I would like to see the A24, the drama. I'm thinking about treating myself to a double feature. I don't know if I'll do that. That's a lot of movies back to back. But it's tentatively on my mind as a treat myself. And I rewatched Moulin Rouge recently, and it still holds up. And the musical just doesn't understand what's good about the movie Moulin Rouge. Primarily, it's Ewan McGregor. I think that, I need a baritone, not a tenor. But the thing is that on Broadway, it was originated with Aaron Tveit, who I adore, but Aaron Tveit's a tenor. And it just doesn't hit as much for me, but that means every person after that has been a tenor. And so the role of Christian has just never been what it was for me in the movie. And also, I just think the use of film and the angles and the music video-ness quality of some of the scenes just worked so well in that media, and the romanticism, the immersion just did not translate, I feel, to the stage production, which I guess I've only seen when it was in Boston. But even just taking out Someday I'll Fly Away and replacing it with Firework was so bad. So that's my unrequested musical theater thoughts in this video. And if you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave a crocodile for Jawbone. And otherwise, if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.